Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Francis Corcoran. I chair the Finance Committee for the Environmental Facilities Corporation. Today, we are having a meeting of the Finance Committee, Thursday, January 18th at 11 a.m. First item of business is I'd like to call the meeting to order and get a roll call if we could, Kate.
Certainly. Director Corcoran.
Here.
Director DeMarquis. Here. Director Krasansky.
Here.
And Director Zarofsky.
I'm here.
The entire committee is present.
Great. Thank you, Madam Secretary. The first item of business is the approval of the draft minutes from our August 24th Finance Committee meeting. And if everyone's had a chance to review it and if there are no changes, I would like to take a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes, Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second?
So seconded.
Great. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Our next item of business, and most important, is the presentation and discussion around the authorization request for the issuance of New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation State Water, Clean Water and Drinking Water Revolving Funds Revenue Bonds, Series 2024A, which is the New York City Municipal Water Financing Authority. Today we'll have a presentation from Emily and Brian, Kevin and Aaron on this discussion, after which I would like to take motions to approve the recommendations to the full board for their approval. So with that, I will turn it over to EFC staff for the presentation of the request.
Good morning. I just wanted to take a moment to introduce Kevin Boomhauer and Aaron Gagne, who are on our finance team and who are really the ones doing all the work on this. So we wanted to give them a chance to present to you and explain the upcoming sale.
Thanks, Emily.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Erin. Today we are presenting the Series 2024A State Clean and Drinking Water Revolving Fund Tax-Exempt Revenue Bonds with a maximum authorization request of $847,381,000. So proceeds of the 2024A bonds will be used to refinance clean and drinking water SRF short-term financings and refund certain EFC Series 2010B and 2014A bonds. The estimated present value saving expected by refunding the Series 2010B and 2014A bonds is currently $5.2 million and $18.4 million, respectively. And we expect to use a blended rate funding model to refinance the EFC short-term grid notes by utilizing EFC equity in addition to these bonds to provide the targeted 50% subsidy for clean water projects and 33 1/3 subsidy for drinking water projects. Diving into the numbers a little bit, more specifically, the Series 2024A will refinance a $274 million clean water short-term financing that funded 9 SRF projects in the short term, and a $196 million drinking water short-term financing that funded 2 SRF projects in the short term. We also anticipate refunding $111 million in clean water 2010B bonds and $44 million in drinking water 2010B bonds, in addition to $203 million in clean water 2014A bonds and $2.9 million in drinking water 2014A bonds. I'd like to take a second to run through a higher level breakdown of how we anticipate funding this series by taking a look at the sources and uses table that was provided in the Finance Committee memo. As previously mentioned, we are requesting a maximum authorization of $847,381,000. The sources of this deal will be EFC bonds in the amount of $566,810,000, which will include a premium of $71,134,000. And EFC will provide a SRF direct financing in conjunction with those bonds in the amount of $209,437,000, bringing us to our total sources of the requested $847,381,000. This will be used towards refunding the Series 2010B and 2014A bonds, and that amount will be $366,899,000. It would also be used to refinance the EFC short terms previously mentioned in a total amount of $469,715,000. And the cost of issuance associated with issuing these bonds will be $10,767,000. Again, bringing us to the total uses of that $847 million. We want to reiterate that this is our proposed structure as of now, and obviously these numbers are subject to change based on market conditions when we go out to price, anticipated in March. So I also want to highlight that we expect these the 2014A EFC bonds to be issued under the New York City Municipal Water Financing Authority subordinate indenture. So that being said, I will pass it over to Brian to discuss a little bit more details about the 2010B bonds that we will be refunding.
Thanks, Aaron. So the 2010B bonds were issued with the Build America program back in 2010. That was an incentive program that was done under the Obama administration to create jobs and get more bonds out there. They're issued as a taxable bond, but they also the federal government provided a 35% subsidy on that. When that was compared to tax exempt bonds, it was actually cheaper to issue the taxable bonds with that subsidy. Unfortunately, in 2013, the budget was changed and they started to sequestration on it, and anywhere from 8 to 5.7% of that subsidy was held back by the federal government. Right now, we're at 5.7%, and it is projected out till 2030 at that 5.7%. However, there were some articles that it could increase. When we do taxable bonds, typically we don't have our normal call provision after 10 years. In this case, we had two different make-whole provisions. Basically, that is to protect taxable buyers, wanted to protect their interest in the bonds. So there's two make-whole provisions, an extraordinary and a regular make-whole, and they have some different financial impacts on that. The extraordinary provision was set in case the subsidy went away. The federal subsidy went away or changed or whatever else. So we have some work to do on either one of those, but we're asking for authorization on it to go forward. There have been other Build America bonds with these same provisions that have called the bonds. And the market is such right now that there could be savings by calling them. And the big thing is, if we're able to call them, we get away from the federal subsidy on it and get back into our normal tax exempt bonds on that.
Brian, this is our only series of Build America bonds, right?
This is our only series of Build America bonds, correct. And I believe there is one other series of taxable bonds that we have outstanding. They are not related to Build America bonds, though.
Right, to provide a little more historical context for the bonds being refunded, both the 2010B and 2014A bonds were issued under the subordinate indenture with true interest costs of 3.658% and 3.259%, respectively. The 2014A bonds did include a refunding of 3 prior series that were issued in 2004 with a total net savings of $49.6 million. So as previously highlighted, the authority will obtain an estimated additional savings of $18.4 million by refunding these bonds for a second time as part of Series 2024A, and will also obtain an estimated $5.2 million in savings by refunding the outstanding Series 2010B bonds. Again, I'd like to reiterate that these savings are based on our current market conditions and are subject to change based on how the market looks when we go to price in March. So now I'll go ahead and pass it over to Kevin to talk about security and credit of this deal.
Thanks, Aaron. Reviewing EFC's security on 24A bonds, these may be issued either as senior or subordinate. Really depends on the market conditions. If we were to go out with a subordinate series, they do have a claim on the senior master trust agreement cash flows, which includes reserve free ups from the EFC senior New York Water bonds. The bond security also has claims on the prior indenture support account, which is under the 2010 MFI. So with all of these cash flows together, we are expecting a AAA rating from the rating agencies. In reviewing New York City's credit, which we obtained from their last official statement back in October of 2023, their current ratings from the rating agencies are a AA+ and a AA1. New York City Water currently has $32 billion in outstanding debt. 5.9 billion of that is in the SRF. In previous years, New York Water takes at least 1/5 of their annual interest and 1/11 of their principal payments, and they are deposited into a debt service fund prior to any payments of revenue that go to the city for operations or maintenance. Now, New York City Water does this because they're required to show 1.1 times coverage in their debt service and a 1 times coverage of their operating expenses. With all of that being said, in the next 5 years, New York Water is projecting to have 5.19 times debt service coverage, so more than enough. Currently, in doing this research, we did see that current residential users for New York City system are currently paying about $1,042 annually for a typical residential structure. And that compared to 30 of the largest cities in the United States is below what the average is. So right now, the average of the 30 largest cities in the United States is $1,309. So much lower than the average. Now, looking forward for New York City Water, they are projecting service revenue to increase of approximately from $4 billion in federal fiscal year of 2023 to about $4.7 billion in 2027. This is due to projected rate increases. They do have one specific challenge looking forward in the near future here. They believe that there is a decrease in demand for water. So over the next 4 years, they're estimating that there will be about a 1% decrease in water demand over the next 4 years. Thank you.
And our schedule for this is we expect to get ratings in the beginning of March, with a preliminary OS going out at the same time, and pricing mid-March and closing the first week of April. Any questions?
Sorry.
Any questions? Any questions from the members?
Yeah, I've got just the last part. Sure. Two different questions. One, so the demand is down. You talked about that. Do they do projections, and do they have, maybe work at what's why? Do you have any knowledge of that, or internal New York Water?
I believe that one of the things that they were saying in their OS was their people are not going back to work as much, so they're seeing a demand of the water coming down from that point of view.
Okay,
and just conservation, like it's necessary.
Right, and they don't, again, sort of longer term. Do they do projections longer term, or nothing?
I didn't see anything beyond.
Their projections are out for between 5 and 8 years.
Okay.
So,
second question is, I think maybe during the pandemic and since, electric and gas utilities have seen a lot of, customer in arrears, not current payment, a lot more problems with residential payments. Wondering in the water side, are they seeing that? Are you aware of that? What's going on there? Do you know?
I'm not personally aware of that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody.
They, New York Water has had, and I think we put it in there, is up until 2 years ago, they had a plan for lien sales.
Right.
When they put that plan in place, that plan is not very old. When they put that in place, they saw their receivables go way down. People started to pay. Now that the plan is, they don't have it, receivables have started to creep back up. They are They are doing some other things to bring down receivables. But I think it's been in a all through the pandemic, it's been manageable. I don't think that they've seen a very large increase. The increase that they've talked about from my conversations with them has been related to the fact that they don't have a lien sale.
Yep.
So, and I know there was negotiations. I haven't seen anything since then. So,
Thank you.
Any other questions from the members? Well, Emily and Brian, thank you as always. And Kevin and Aaron, welcome and great job with your presentations. Well done. And thank you for that. I mean, this is a big deal for us. And 23.6 million is real savings in refinancing, so that's great too. If there are no other questions, what I'd like to do is call for motion from the members that we recommend the proposed issuance be accepted and approved by the full board upon presentation of ID number 3 at our full board meeting today on our agenda. So with that, is there a motion for the recommendation that we recommend the proposed issuance?
I'll make a motion.
All right, thanks, Charlie. Any second?
Second.
Thanks, Vita. There's a second. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right.
That
There
was well
being
laid
none.
out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Go
I was
ahead,
gonna say-
Vita.
Out, and I appreciate those questions, Charlie. That was one of mine as well. And the document lays out a lot of the details. So thank you for that.
You know, I
Yeah,
was gonna
and
say
the-
it's a good presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, I agreed. And there's one last question in the discussion, and the decrease in the water usage that's factored into the repayment schedules, correct?
yes, correct.
Okay, good. Okay, there being and no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, it passes unanimously. Once again, thank you all for all your hard work that you do and for this great presentation and the materials that supported it. And we'll be recommending to the full board its approval as ID number 3 on our full board agenda at the meeting today. Is there any other business for the committee? Okay, there being none, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Adam's motion and Vita's second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, committee members, and thank you, staff, for all your hard work.